Good morning and welcome to another live daily webcast called Jenn Cast. It happens Monday through Friday here on YFElive.com at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm your host, Jennifer Donogh. You can tweet me using @Jennifer Donogh and the hashtag Jenn Cast. Definitely tweet out your tweetables, your quotables, any takeaways that you have during the show. It's about 15 minutes and our guest is Andrea Genevieve. She is the creator of my best year yet calendar. So I'm really excited to bring her on in just a moment. Make sure that you check in on the chat, introduce yourself, and check in, of course, on the hashtag. So Andrea, thank you so much for joining me today. It's so nice to see your lovely face.
Thank you, Jennifer. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. So we were just saying that you're in the Austin area, and I was looking through all of your Instagram pictures. So you're more than just an entrepreneur or someone that's helping entrepreneurs, but you are also a mom of a little boy.
I am. Yeah, he's 18 months old. So I like to call myself a new mama because he's still relatively small.
Oh, so cute. All right. So Andrea, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got all of this started.
Sure. So like you mentioned, I kind of do a lot of things. I'm one of those people that it's really hard to kind of nail down one specific title or label. So I blog, I sew, I have an Etsy shop, I love social media, I do marketing consulting. But then I also decided that I wanted to start creating digital products or things that could help people. So my idea for the calendar, it's actually something that I've had in mind for about 3 or 4 years now. And if you're anything like me, you're one of those people that literally spends hours trying to find like the perfect planner or calendar or system every year. And honestly, I would spend hours inside of Target or Barnes and Nobles with piles of books around me just trying to find the perfect thing, and I could never find it. I would end up, cutting and pasting things together, and one year I actually went all digital, and I used a Google Calendar and Evernote, and I got back into using something that was tangible after I had my son because I needed to physically see reminders. Otherwise, it was never going to get done. So I have the idea to do this a couple years ago, and I never got around to it. And fortunately/unfortunately, I lost my day job back in October. And I had someone give me a really good tip of advice. They said, you should really use this time to work on something that you've always wanted to do. And I said, you're totally right. And I decided I was going to launch this calendar in October, nothing like the last minute. But I ended up meeting a girl online through a mutual friend of mine. Her name is Crystal. And we talked on the phone for probably no more than 5 minutes and just instantly clicked. And we said, yes, let's do this. We can totally get this done by the end of the year. It's doable. And she's someone who specializes in helping people with passion projects. So it was just a great fit from the beginning. And it turned out beautifully. I'm so proud of it and so excited with how it looked. But it's a printable, downloadable calendar that
I was just going to say, let's talk about what it is actually.
Yeah. So it's for not only for entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs will find it very helpful. But it's a downloadable calendar and guide / workbook that's part date planner, and it's designed for busy females. So someone who's driven and hungry and passionate, but might just need a little bit of help to try to accomplish some of their goals throughout the year.
Yeah, and it's not just a calendar printout. This is the thing. Okay, so I know that you're talking about a calendar and all of this fun stuff, but at the same time, when I looked through it at first, and I was just looking at the table of contents and what it is that you're doing, like you said, there's some worksheets and it's something that you print out and you go through, but people contact me all the time asking for resources when they're just starting a business. They've got an idea and they're like, I really don't know what to do with this now. What should I do? And so I don't really have a resource to point them to. Usually I'll point them to something like ebook or You guys know what I'm talking about on the chat. Michael Gerber book. But anyway, this is a great one because if you just go through, and this is not exactly how you intended to do it when I was reading it, but if you go through all the worksheets first, at least this is what I'm excited to do. I'm going to go through all your worksheets and just review stuff for myself. And then I'm going to go back, and actually go through the calendar year and then on each month work through things. So you broke this up in each quarter has a different focus. Why did you do that?
Well, I've noticed throughout the last couple of years that life kind of goes in cycles, these 3 and 4 month cycles. And if you think about it, it's so true. It even goes back to high school or college, that life is really broken up into these 3 and 4 month sections. And even in the corporate world, it's split up into quarters. And for me, it's easier to look at things in smaller chunks than on a big, wide scale. So by dividing the book into 4 sections, it's designed to help you be able to look at things holistically, but also really zero in and focus on a specific time period. So it's more manageable. So you don't look at your goals and your agenda for the whole year and say, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to be able to get this done by the end of the year. So it was definitely intentional to split it up into 4 distinct quarters.
Well, and it's funny. Thanks, Terry. It's the E-Myth that I'm talking about, Michael Gerber's E-Myth.
Okay.
So it's, and it does make sense to break things up into quarters. So what are some of the focuses that you do? You do marketing, but my favorite one is the very beginning in January, SWOT analysis, which we're going to talk about that in just a moment. So again, what are the focuses? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So we take a look at marketing and promotion, and then your finances and income. We also look at personal development and also business development. And I think those two kind of go hand in hand because obviously your business is a reflection of yourself. So you want to make sure that you include some personal development throughout the year and then business development to kind of help move both forward.
So now going into the business development piece, the part that I was excited about was that SWOT analysis. I haven't seen that term in a while, and I feel like right now, if you are a business owner, you're unable, unless you pay like thousands and thousands of dollars, you're unable to get this type of worksheet, this type of training. People don't really talk about the whole, what are your strengths and weaknesses thing anymore. So what is a SWOT analysis?
So if you have a background in marketing or even sales, SWOT is a term that's used in marketing and sales, and it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So obviously S stands for strengths. Those are the things that you want to stop and think, okay, what am I really good at? What are your weaknesses? Might not necessarily be a bad thing, but that's designed to help you say, okay, this is not the area that I am strongest in, to help you focus on the things that you are stronger in. So kind of shy away from those things that might be your weaknesses, because you can't be a rock star at everything, even though we all want to be. Your opportunities, those are going to be your areas where you have potential to excel. So the 1 or 2 things that you are super awesome at that you definitely want to be known for. And then your threats, those are the things that might be standing in your way. So this could be something like competition, but it could also be something like a life event that you have happening, or something else that might be an event that's taking place later on down in the year. And I love doing SWOT analyses, and I do these multiple times throughout the year. It's not something that you have to do right at the beginning of January. So like you said, even if you pick up this guidebook in March or April or even May, you don't have to skip the beginning. I would strongly suggest that you do all of the worksheets, and it doesn't really matter what time of year it is.
Very nice. And so another worksheet that you have, and I just want to show off this really fast too and see if this will work. There's something going on with our camera. But this is the SWOT analysis and reality check worksheet that she's talking about. So there's a nice area to write on. It's pretty to look at too, and it goes through each question for you. And then it's nice because the way that you've lined it up is that the calendar is out there too. And there's also another view. Let me show that off too, where you can actually line up to see what exactly this quarter looks like. And you can see each page. We talked about this a little bit in the action calendar in December, the idea where you're looking at I forget what it's called, a long, long calendar, where you're able to break down projects and actually see them in a line versus working on a calendar, which is much more horizontal. So I think there's a lot of benefit in that. So another worksheet that you have is the brain dump area. Now, I've heard a lot of coaches say that, and I hate the word brain dump, but at the same time, that's exactly what it is, right? So tell us more about why a brain dump is important, and at what point should we be doing that?
Yes. I totally agree. Brain dump is such a weird, screwy term, but that is exactly what it is designed to do. It's supposed to be free-form writing, so you're not really thinking about it. And we have inserted it in the calendar every month, so it gives you a chance to get all of those things that are floating around in your head, all the ideas that you had, all the questions, all the websites you might have seen or events that are coming up, anything that you have, just to get it out and down on paper so you can free up some space in your brain to actually get things accomplished. And one of the great benefits I always find from doing a brain dump is you get to find these recurring themes that show up that you might not necessarily realize until you get them down and out on paper. So it might be a pain point that just pops up through your free form writing, or you might discover an opportunity or a way that you might be able to collaborate with somebody else just by kind of getting some of these ideas out and down on paper. It's a wonderful discovery tool. I found it very helpful.
And then, all right, so the last worksheet that I wanted to talk about, which I think is something some people forget to do, is the celebration piece. So you have one big area at the very end of the year where you can celebrate all your accomplishments. But in the beginning of the book, you explain to us how important it is to look back at each month and see what it is that we accomplished, because I think sometimes we forget these small pieces. So what do you do as far as celebrating and how should we be mapping these out? Why is it important? All of that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely important. Whether you realize it or not, you have accomplished so much throughout the entire year. And it's kind of a tradition in our house here that on New Year's Eve, we sit down and we either verbally or we write down on a piece of paper all of the things that we've done throughout the year. So whether it was places that we've traveled or people we met, and it doesn't even have to be business related. It can be anything. So you feel validated. You feel like you really have done something to move your life in the direction that you want it to go. And celebrating naturally happens at the end of the year around New Year's, but you can also do this at the end of every month. But some of the things that I like to do, like I said, is I write them all down so I can have a record of it, and I can go back and I can look and I can say, okay, even though you might have gotten off track a little bit here and there, these are some concrete things that you can really pat yourself on the back and get excited and have a glass of champagne about, which is normally what I do. So that's champagne.
Yeah, champagne is definitely a part of a lot of young female entrepreneurs' lives, and I like the idea that you write them down and you have a record of the accomplishments. I know a lot of people do what's trendy right now with the Pinterest thing is they put down good things in a jar, and at the end of the year they're able to read them all.
Yes, I want to do that next year.
So I guess you can get a little crafty with it. Maybe even if you have an office, you could have everyone do that. That would be fun.
You totally could.
So, Andrea, now another thing that you emphasize in this book is the idea of working with a mentor as you go through each month. Why is that important?
Well, I think it's definitely important because some people are self-starters and all they need is an outline or a guidebook and then they're off and running. But some people need a little bit more than that, and they may need a physical person to be there to say, hey, did you really do what you said you were going to do last month? Or, you've been talking about this project, but I haven't really seen anything.
Accountability, yes.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge part of it. And I've been really blessed to have a lot of great mentors in my life that I still talk to. And mentorship is something that specifically for women, I think we tend to forget about and think that, oh, we're superhuman. We can do this all by ourselves and all on our own. And sometimes you can't, and it's okay. And having that other person there can help be a sounding board, but they can also be another set of fresh eyes and ears and just someone there to help push you through when you don't really think that you can do it on your own. And
you're one of those mentors, and that's something that you offer as a service. So what does it look like when you actually work with a mentor? Because I have to be honest, I don't think I've worked with like a mentor or a consultant type position for like 3 years.
Usually mentorship roles are very subtle and they're not very formal. And I shy away from calling myself a coach because I'm not really a coach because I'm not going to do anything for you, but I will definitely help steer you in the right direction or point you in a way and give you some tools that might be helpful. But specifically dealing with the calendar, there is going to be a private Facebook group for anyone who's purchased it where I will bop in and out of from time to time and be there to help drive a conversation, but also help keep people motivated there and give them even more tools and tips and resources. And then I'm also going to be hosting some local workshops here in Austin. And Crystal and I, she's the graphic designer of the book, she's my co-creator, we've talked about doing some webinars or YouTube tutorial videos once a month just to kind of help move people forward. And I think all of those things are a form of mentorship without necessarily having a strict relationship or title tied to it. So like I said, kind of acting more as like a physical guide there throughout the whole year.
Well, that's nice. Having a group through a Facebook group too is probably really nice to be able to work through it with your peers. I think you get just as much. YFE is a big supporter of peer-to-peer mentorship. So, Andrea, where can everyone find out more about this calendar? Where can they find out more about you after the show?
You can go to www.mybestyearyet.co. It's not a com, it's a .co. To learn more about the calendar, read some testimonials. You can even get a sneak peek of it. I know you did a great job of Vanna Whiting the book, but if you want to see up close and personal, there is a sneak peek button that will allow you to take a look at the first 5 pages of the PDF. And you can find all the other answers to your questions there. And there's also a Facebook page that has some photos that we've posted of people who are using the calendar now. And that's at Facebook/MyBestYearCalendar.
And I'll make sure to include all of the links to below the video for people to click through.
Great. And then my information, I'm at Andrea Genevieve anywhere online. Anywhere I have it. Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and my website is AndreaGenevieve.com.
Excellent. And so I just want to show this off one more time before I let everyone go. So Andrea, thank you so much for joining us. Woo.
Thank you.
All right, so you've been watching the live daily webcast called Jenn Cast. Look how dark this is. Come on, let's fix up this lighting. But it's such a pretty calendar, and like Courtney's saying in the chat, that if it's not functional and good looking for me, I won't look at it. Which is true. You want it to be something pretty and usable. So really, really thankful for having Andrea on to talk about my best year yet calendar. Hopefully you guys will go and check it out. I'll make sure that I include all the links below this video. Hope to see you back here tomorrow for Winning Wednesday. We've got an amazing guest tomorrow. She's a former celebrity fitness trainer out in Hollywood, and she's now taking over the internet, making everyone, she's igniting girls, I should say. So come back tomorrow, and then Thursday and Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern here on YFELive.com. This has been Jennifer Donogh. Thank you so much for watching.